Nan Jokovsky cannot be here. I'm not sure who is her proxy. Anyone else?
Yes. Let me get my notes. I've got Keith Sudheimer is here for Elizabeth Dalala. He's also here for Diana Sarko. So when it comes time to vote, I don't think Keith would vote twice, would he? He wouldn't vote twice. Mm-hmm. It's not normal to have one person serving as a proxy for two people.
Okay.
And Amber Pond ex officio is not going to be here. Christopher McDowell will be arriving late, and Amanda Pangrazio will be leaving early.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next item on our agenda, approve of the minutes. In fact, from last month, February 8th. So we would like to see whether any correction, comments on the minutes. So if there's no correction, discussion on the minutes, I would like to have a motion. Anyone to move it?
Make a motion to move the minutes.
Okay, Mike, Senator Mike Akos, move it. Anyone second?
Seconded.
Okay, Bethany seconded. So we're going to have a vote. Would you like to have a voice, oral votes, or what's your preference?
Voice.
Okay, could you call the senator's name one after another?
Mm-hmm. Okay, Michael Eichholz.
Yay.
Bethany Rader.
Yay.
Matt Rendelman. Okay, Li Cheng Wong.
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert. Phil Anton. Yu-Ting Lee.
Yes, yeah.
Jane Nichols, who's proxy for Jennifer Sherry. Okay, Grant Miller.
It's okay, maybe
here.
This is for approving of the minutes. So Grant Miller, is that a yay, a nay, or an abstain?
Yay.
Okay, thank you. Ying Chen.
Yes.
Farhan Chowdhury.
Yay.
Arash Kamai.
Yes.
Okay. Sung Hee Lee.
Yes.
Dong Han.
Yay.
Walter Metz. Jay Needham.
Yay.
Joseph Brown.
Yay.
Patrick McGrath.
Yes.
Joseph Shapiro. Okay. Joseph Sramick. Matt Grzalski, yay. Jennifer Brobst.
Yay.
Eric Black. I will call now on Keith Sudheimer for Diana Sarko.
Yay.
Amy Bro.
Yay.
Robert Broomfield.
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio.
Yay.
Mike Phillips.
Yay.
And Julie Tate.
Yay.
Okay. No nays and no abstention.
Okay, thank you, Mike. The next item on the agenda, Faculty Senate President report. I'm going to have a brief report for you. Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, the February issue of Faculty Senate Update, FIY, went out to all the faculty members last month. In addition, I have several business matters to report to you briefly. First, I had a regular monthly meeting with Chancellor Nairn on February 8th and March 14th yesterday. We primarily talked about faculty issues, shared governance, budget issues, campus safety, and other matters. Second, in the week of February 14th, the Chancellor Nairn's office requested a meeting with different constituencies about the policy of wearing masks and safety practices on campus. Senator Jennifer Sherry attended the meeting on my behalf to represent faculty senator. She and Senator Scott Comparado and Josh Frick did a survey, and the results showed that wearing masks indoors could help us in a safe working environment. I will defer to Senator Jennifer Sherry to address it more as needed. I wish to express my appreciation to them for this. Third, on February 21st, February 28th, and March 14th, yesterday, I attended EOC, Emergency Operating Center meetings in the morning. The primary issue that we discussed were related to mask policy, vaccination, safety issues, after students came back from their spring break. And number 4 or 4th, just FIY items. On February 24th, I had a meeting with the JRB Traditional Review Board chairs, Professor Jose Rees, about the JRB's procedure, roles and tasks, and faculty support. In early March, the University Budget Committee had the meeting. I will defer to our Budget Committee Chair, Senator Jennifer Bribst, about this matter. Also, the Institutional Ranking Ad Hoc Committee have met a few times. I will defer to Senators Josh Remick and Inan Joukowsky about this. As you may know, the Gary Associates scheduled a meeting this morning. That means at 9:30. I invited all our faculty senator executive council members to attend it. A few of them were there. My impression is that we may still need more discussion with regard to its benefits and outcomes for our faculty and academic programs. Thank you so much. Any question, comments, please? So if you have any question, please raise your hands electronically or any comments. If not, I'm going to move to the next item on our agenda. We have invited a guest to present on Sanuki Care, Ms. Amanda Aninska. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. I just have a brief presentation that I'm going to share. Apologies, I know several of you have seen this already, but it is good information for all of you to have. We are really focusing on getting information about Saluki Cares out to faculty, because we know that faculties and our graduate assistants and teaching assistants have the most direct contact with students and are more likely than some other individuals on campus to recognize when a student is in distress or is in need or just needs a little bit extra care in order to be successful. I am Amanda Hesslinger. I am the director of Saluki Cares. That is my direct phone line. and email there. Those are the best ways to get in contact with me. I'm also a confidential advisor for students with the university. Saluki Cares is a network of care and support for all of our students, from our first semester freshmen up through law school, med school, and our doctoral degrees. We work with every single student on campus. In fall of 2021, we received over 1,500 Saluki Cares referrals. And I went back and did some data crunching, and I found that we were actually able to retain over 1,200 of those students into this spring semester. And the vast majority of those referrals came from faculty. More than 1,100 of those referrals came from faculty members letting us know about a student that they were working with or who were in their classes who they had a concern about. I do like to let people know that Saluki Cares is an office of one. I'm the director, but I'm also the only full-time staff member. But we are a team of dozens of professionals across the university and the Carbondale community. We have a representative on the Saluki Cares team from every school and college and in several just departments as well. Counseling and Psychological Services, University Housing, Center for International Education. They're all wonderful partners for us, as well as some mutual aid groups in the community, the food pantries in the community, and some of the shelters as well. So anyone can refer a student to Saluki Cares. You do not have to be affiliated with the university at all. That QR code will take you directly to the Saluki Cares report. You can also just go to salukicares.siu.edu. So you can see here in the fall, over 1,000 reports were made by faculties, GAs, and TAs. 949 of those reports were academic concerns. So students who weren't attending, had stopped attending, who their academic performance had suddenly changed for one reason or another, things of that nature. And then again, we had over 1,200 students who are now registered and attending classes this spring. The main assistant types that we work with students on are those academic concerns, but then also financial. I provide over $20,000 per semester in textbook assistance to students. I am also funded through the University Foundation and can provide rental assistance, and then assistance with emergency bills for medical care, power, Wi-Fi, things like that. Anything that could prevent a student from being successful at the institution. Mental health is probably our second largest concern that we see with students. That shouldn't surprise anyone, especially, going into our third year of COVID. We have seen the toll that has taken on our students as well as ourselves. We also see students, particularly our first semester freshmen or our new transfers who are having adjustment issues. Students who are having illness or medical concerns who are going to be out of class for a while and need help either staying current or getting caught up. Victims or survivors of any type of violence or abuse. I work with our confidential advisor over in the Wellness Center. I am also a trained confidential advisor. We work for getting students disability accommodations. We work with the Student Multicultural Resource Center for students who are, developing their identity and need assistance with that. Pregnancy and childcare are very common. Something that is common that a lot of people don't realize amongst our students is the number of students who are experiencing housing insecurity or food insecurity. I work very closely with university housing to identify housing opportunities for those students on campus. And if that is not an option, I do have a lot of resources in the community to provide students assistance with getting secure housing. And for food insecurity, we do have a food pantry on campus. They do have limited hours. They are staffed by a graduate assistant. Their hours are on Wednesdays and Fridays. And if a student can't make those hours, I do keep food bags in my office for emergencies for students. And also we can get in contact directly with the food pantry and they will open specifically for those students. And then occasionally we do work with Center for International Education for students who are having immigration issues. So that is not an all-inclusive list of the topics that I and our team members assist students with, but that is a good overview. So just good information to have if you are ever dealing with a student who has identified as being in crisis or who you believe is in crisis. And I will share this in the chat. I'll share this presentation for you all to download if you want to keep this. Anytime you believe a student is a risk of harm to themselves or others, you can always call the Department of Public Safety. You can also always call Counseling and Psychological Services. They are open 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday and 12:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. If a student expresses that they are experiencing housing or food insecurity, you can call me. The food pantry, students' legal assistance can also help students who are having difficulty with secure housing. And then if a student discloses that they have been a victim or a survivor of any kind of assault, you all know you are mandated reporters. So you do need to file that SAFE report, but you can also call the Department of Public Safety or the Office of Equity and Compliance if that is needed. And it is helpful in these incidents if you want to file a Saluki Cares report after you have reached out to emergency services or to those most necessary offices. And I or a team member will follow up with that student and make sure they are getting the assistance that they need. Please do not call me in the event of an active emergency. I did have a faculty member call me once to report that a student was actively having a seizure in class. I'm not a medical doctor. Please don't do that. I had to tell them to hang up with me and call 911. And that is it as far as my presentation. If anyone has any questions or comments, I am more than happy to provide what information I can.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions. Okay, Senator Ni-Chang Wang.
Thank you for the information. I was wondering whether the faculty members can have the information you presented. So, you know, when students come to, you know, the classroom or everything, we can respond immediately on those.
Yes, I'm actually, I am putting the presentation in the chat right now.
Thank you.
For individuals to download. And if for some reason you can't download that, I will send that to Dr. Lee and he can send that out to everyone today.
Good, thank you. We have another question from Senator Jennifer Burgess. Jenny?
Sure. Just a quick comment, and I just wanted to thank you very, very much for your services. I know it's a hard position, and I was really impressed when I first saw your presentation, the scope of services that you provide. And it also sounds like it's very tailored to the students that we have, which it gives me comfort as a faculty member. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, we do try to make sure that all of our services are tailored to our students' individual needs. And we also work with our Saluki Cares team members to make sure that our cultural competence is there. And that is something that we are constantly working with Dr. Frazier to develop as well.
Thank you. One more question from Walter Mitz, then we're going to move on due to time. Okay, Senator Mitz.
Thank you, Amanda. Saluki Cares is a great program. Do you feel that you have the resources to handle the vast, overwhelming collapse of students' well-being in this state of COVID?
I would never say no to more resources. If anybody would be interested in serving on the Saluki Cares team, I would be more than happy to get you trained. We do have everyone go through training with Counseling and Psychological Services just so you are more prepared to work with students who are experiencing extreme distress or in crisis. Right. But, you know, like I said, I have a team of dozens of people. And I am in close contact with Dr. Jamie Clark, the Director of Student Health Services, Dr. Bilderbach, the Director of CAPS, Chief Ben Newman from DPS, all of the Vice Chancellors, Dr. Chevalier as well. She is very used to getting a message from me going, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So do you know sort of the average response time to a particular submission? And what it is and what would be ideal?
So I would say the typical submission, I always get them assigned to a Saluki Cares team member within 24 hours. Typically it's more like 12 hours because I'm always at work, let's be honest. As long as I get those reports, I'm at work. Typically 12 to 24 hours for the CARES team members. They know that the expectation is that they will reach out to the student as quickly as possible. For our lower level academic concerns, I say lower level, none of them are low level, we know that. It's typically 24 to 48 hours. When I get a Saluki Cares report from a faculty member or someone else that says no one has been able to get in contact with this student for several days, I handle those personally. I do wellness checks on those students and I handle those immediately. If I can't get a hold of a student and they live on campus, I will have University Housing physically go to their room. If they are off campus, I will have the Department of Public Safety go do a well check, just because we have to assure the physical safety of our students first. For those reports, I do try to always follow up with the faculty. A lot of times the students will say, you know, I don't want them to know exactly what's going on, but tell them that I'm safe, and I do try to do that always.
So I had a student in a sort of full-blown sort of manic attack. I informed our academic advisor, I informed Saluki Cares, and then from that point forward, I was just trying to keep him engaged on email. He left campus, and you know, I just wonder at that point what my appropriate response is. I know Saluki Cares wouldn't call me to give me privileged mental health information.
Well, and I won't have that information as well, because
Right.
obviously CAPS is bound by HIPAA.
Right.
But anytime you have a question, even if, you know, if it is protected information, I will be very clear. I can't share that information with you, but I can tell you, you can always call me or email me.
Right.
Oh, okay, thank you very much for the discussion. If you have more questions to follow up, Miss Amanda Hernandez PowerPoint there with her email there. I encourage you to contact her directly. We need to move on. Thank you, Miss Amanda Hernandez. Thank you very much for the
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. Now, the next item on our agenda, we have a Q&A session with Chancellor Nan and Provost Kumaracho. We have about 20 minutes. Okay, so if you have a question, please raise up your hands electronically, one after another. Well, maybe I will invite Chancellor Nan and Provost Kumaracho to speak for a few minutes or first, then you can ask. Would that be okay? Okay, Chancellor Nan, would you like to, I know Joe, would you hold on a second? Chancellor Nan, would you like to speak first?
This is your show, Dr. Lee. You let me know.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Joe, do you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the typical question that's important and urgent in March, and as we get into the late spring, which is enrollment update for next year, because we are starting to see, I think we're starting to see some semi-hard numbers. So could you give the full faculty senate a update on that?
Yeah, still very early.
Okay.
Numbers look really good. Applications look good. Number of students that have been admitted look good. As you know, we just wrapped up the St. Louis takeover. That was a disguise for yield events. So really it was to confirm or reconfirm some of the relationships that we built in the fall with those high school superintendents in the Metro East and over in St. Louis. It was really our attempt to go back to them to tell them exactly how many students have been awarded scholarships, how many students have actually accepted those scholarships, and how many we still want to get from the pools that came from their schools. So a lot of recruiting and sealing the deal in that Saluki or St. Louis takeover event that we just finished. And that's happening across the state. So it's not just, obviously in where we came from, it's happening at all of those schools that we took visits to back in the fall. So it's early, but we're still trying to yield. Our enrollment management task force group is continuing to meet, plugging any holes that we may have out there. May 1st is commitment day. And so you'll start to see a lot of our students who are going to begin to commit to SIU Carbondale. So that's going to be a pretty promising number. everything now is leading to an increase. But again, Joe, as you know, right, it's still early. I think we're 23 or so weeks out. We just had our updates that just came out this morning at Cabinet. So we're again cautiously optimistic. That's my favorite two words, I guess, but that's what we're trying to be down the stretch.
Okay. Could I just ask you to submit that written summary that I know the provost sometimes writes up for the full faculty senate, so we can all have it on email?
Yeah, your name came up this morning. If your ears were ringing at about,
They were.
Mira was about 10 o'clock, maybe 9:30, because we said, you know, Joe's going to want the numbers. So we got you, Joe. We're about 2 steps ahead of you.
Okay.
We got
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Chancellor Nan. And next person, Professor Lee Chang-Wang.
Yes, I have 2 questions related with like the governance aspects of campus. One is I was wondering what is the progress of naming directors and like deans on that, and also operating paper and the development of operating paper and also timeline. The second one I think is the comments I heard from instructors, from professors who teach large, big classrooms. They complained about our teaching equipment failures. And then some of them, they can't teach for the first 10 or 20 minutes. And then they were like frantically trying to fix the presenters, the screen or here and there. I think we really need to make sure the phone number can be reached and the person has to be on site. This is not only one from my department, for my school colleagues and also from other areas. And this need to be fixed. And then some of them, they said they felt very embarrassed to, you know, teach a class, like 100 students there. And then suddenly 10 minutes are totally wasted. If you multiply by 100, that's not something we wanted to get into that too often. Thank you.
Yeah. Chancellor, you want to answer that, or you want me to?
Go right ahead. Yeah, the first.
Yeah. So in terms of these searches, we have 3 that are external and then several internal. All of those are underway. They're all underway. So the search committees have received the charge. They are reviewing the applications, and we are, keeping the timeline in our mind so that we can have the interviews and everything. So all of these school directors, all of those are underway, and there are many of them. So that's in terms of like having all of these school directors and the deans in place. And then in terms of the operating papers, the few that we have received, we are reviewing and providing feedback. Others have reached out just informally for guidance. So we are doing that part of it. So that's also like a work in progress. And then in terms of the classrooms, I would say that, we do our best, but we are always looking to do better. So we have the Center for Teaching Excellence really like oversees all of the classrooms. So if I have like examples of specific classrooms where we're having issues, we can provide a more concerted effort. But in general, we do our best, and we'll make sure that the phone number and the contact person is available. We just need to know, like, is it like a Feynor auditorium or is it a warm building? That would be helpful. But the Center for Teaching Excellence really is in charge of that. And we do spend whatever money is possible to upgrade the classrooms and make sure that they're all working well. I do want to recognize that one of our employees there has been out on the person who's to be like inside of Lawson has had some medical issues and has stepped away. So we've had extra help to cover that particular position. But if it's outside of Lawson, we make sure that the phone numbers are available, that someone is there to answer that.
I see. So the ones I heard is from Wayne and also like Nakers. Those are the 2 places. Okay. And also problem, I think, maybe because of the solving the problem involves both teaching excellency and also IT.
Okay.
That maybe somehow is a disconnect or something. I'm not 100% sure. So I wasn't teaching this semester. It's only the issue was raised in faculty meeting or when I chat with other faculty, say, okay, how's going? And they will say, oh no, this is something is kind of is embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
that would be great.
understand. Yeah, I understand because I taught large classes and I know you feel bad wasting so many hundreds of students' time. So we
Yes,
will
thank you.
stay on top of it, and we appreciate knowing that there
Yeah,
were some issues. Yeah.
Yeah, we give it to, obviously, we want the deans to know first, and definitely the contact should be to them immediately. And then Will Clark. Will is our IT guy here for the university, so if he needs to be involved, I'll send him a note after this just to express the concern that's out there. But
Thank you. Yeah.
we don't want that because that is embarrassing and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Especially with these large classrooms, it will be great to have like a regular maintenance on check. For instance, Bob is out, and we'll have hard time to call someone in, and then just to say, okay, it's out. If it's being checked, that will be kind of regularly being checked, so we can prevent some of the problems. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Li Chang Wang, and also Provost Kumrajo and Chancellor Nan. Next person I have a question is Senator Mike Kozovsky.
Yeah, my question is about what was just mentioned with the ongoing searches that are underway. Does that include the Chief Information Officer, or where is that? Where are we in that? I know we have a new interim.
Yeah. Interim is Will Clark. We're going to have him stay interim the rest of this semester and then have our search closer to the summer, fall semester. So Will's doing an incredible job right now. He's getting ready to tackle a very big universal, this ERP, Ellucian, everything. He's getting ready to tackle that for us and look at some business processes and how we do things. But Matt, I would think after we run that through spring, summer, we'd be looking to do something by fall.
Okay, and real quick then too, a few years ago, we were given money to renovate the communications building. Where are we in that project starting?
Mira, you're on mute if you're talking.
It has been approved for us, but we haven't gotten the green light from the governor's office yet. So as soon as we get that, behind the scenes work is ongoing, and we sort of reach out to make sure that we are not behind on anything. But we haven't got that green light yet.
Yeah, I think it's all the way up to the architects, Mira, all of that work is essentially, I think.
It's done. We're just waiting for the money.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we would like to invite either Provost Kumrajo or Chancellor Nan to give us a brief update or.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Lee. Yeah, first of all, welcome back to those that got a chance to get away. Hopefully you got a chance to get away and spend time with family and friends and loved ones. We're glad you're back because we've got a lot of things happening over the next few weeks. And as you know, and I think Dr. Lee mentioned this, our EOC is meeting. Our EOC is watching the hospitalizations. They're watching the positivity rates. That was one of the promises that we made as soon as we came back to the after spring break, that we would keep the mask on in the classroom and that we would watch to see how things are going. As you know, a lot of places are moving in 5 or 6 different directions as it relates to that. I like where we are. I appreciate the feedback that we received to help us make that decision to go mask optional, but to also keep it on in the classroom for that 2-week period to March 28th. So we will come back to you. You should be, I had Chief make sure every day you should see at least some indication on a dashboard about what we look like. And I will even check it today when I get off this call to make sure that we're doing that, because I know inquiring minds want to know, right? How are we doing? Are the students, did they come back? Is anything, peaking up or down? And so we want to know too. And we'll use that information to help us as we go forward. And so that part, I just want to thank the group for working with us on that. It seems to be something that I know is of everyone's concern. Our strategic plan launched about a week ago. Again, I want to thank Dr. Lee and members of this Senate who helped us really get to the finish line with that document. We got a lot of good feedback. As I told the groups a couple of weeks ago, now the work really begins. Just this morning, our group, by April 1, they are submitting what we call unit effectiveness plans. This really gets into, Joe, I think you were talking about this last time, so we wouldn't just have a strategic plan that was just words on a piece of paper, but that these unit effectiveness plans will really guide our work in terms of our goals, objectives, action steps, methods of assessment, our measures, our targets, all of the things that we want to know if we're getting better, if we're staying stagnant. All of these areas will be addressed and tied to the top 5 pillars. And so you'll see a lot of that heavy lifting start to happen. Next Thursday, we're having our strategic enrollment management retreat. That is next Thursday. It's an all-day retreat. We will be talking a little bit more about the SEM plan for the university. So even though we have an overarching plan, a strategic plan, there are a lot of other plans that will happen and form inside of the strategic plan. And so you'll get a lot of information on that, but we are pushing that out. We're trying to make sure that we're lining that up as we look at our budget. Our fiscal year ends on the 30th of June. And so as we launch the next year, trying to tie as many of our resources into some of the top 5 areas of the university and the things that we're doing there. So a lot of work that's happening in that regard. Other than that, you've heard a little bit about enrollment. We are feeling good about where we are today with enrollment. We still have some work to do with our community colleges. You're probably reading about some of the agreements that we're forming. Just yesterday, we formed up with Rock Valley or Rock Valley. I guess that's 5 hours from here. And so we also signed an agreement with SWIC right during the Saluki takeover. St. Louis Community College, we were with them during the takeover as well. We are the only university in the state that has this exclusive, what we consider to be a program that's going to help students who are unable to get to Carbondale stay where they are in about 6 key programs and not have to come to Carbondale and finish their degree in their 3rd and 4th year. So we really are going to be pushing that. We're going to be pushing the extended campus work that's out there as well. We feel like if we're going to grow, Joe, it's got to be with not only retaining our students that we're getting from the state of Illinois, but we're going to have to go outside of our state and find other students, and we're going to have to tap into the adult student population. There's a lot of students that started but never finished. So if we're going to get to that 15,000 by 2025, 2030, we've got a lot of work to do in those markets. And we'll be talking to the deans on Friday about some opportunities of maybe where we can grow and some things that we'll have to move out of the way to make sure we can get there. So on that note, again, this is March, and just trying to make sure that we can do all we can to get to May, and I appreciate the work that's being done. I'll stop there. Mira, I know you've got some things to add as well.
I see that Joe has his hand up. I didn't know whether he had a question for you. Or...
No, I just wanted to alert everybody that I don't know who can read the chat or not, but just last week over spring break, I was in conversation with, is it Susanna? What's her last name? That does articulation agreements.
Gold.
Gold, thank you. And apparently we're in conversations with Ivy Tech, which of course, if you know, is the entire Indiana community college system. So I think this is exciting that if we can, I hate to say it, poach from other states nearby, we can probably grow ourselves again because we offer programs that perhaps IU Bloomington doesn't offer, for example. So anyway, I'll shut up now. Thank you.
Thank you. Provost Kumrajo.
Yeah, just a few updates, things that have already been talked about, I don't want to cover again. But all of the direct reports of the provost office are working on their unit effectiveness plan. And at a minimum, they are focusing on the one pillar, and they can do more if they are able to do that. And that is the student success and engagement. And in terms of the workshop that the chancellor mentioned, that is this coming Thursday of next week. And it's a follow-up to what we did last semester in November. And that we're going to be focusing on yield from the admitted students. And we are continuing the weekly meetings that we have on enrollment management so that we are tackling yield at all levels. And in terms of the numbers, as Chancellor Lane mentioned, are for our freshmen, we have 8,000 applications right now, and that's about a 32.7% increase from same time last year. And in terms of our transfer numbers, our off-campus numbers, that is either at an off-campus site or completely online, the applications are up about 10%. Our on-campus numbers are lower. They are down about 13.6% in terms of admitted students, but usually together when we approach 10th day, our transfer numbers sort of generally work out, because the on-campus numbers start improving as we get closer to the end of spring and summer, when students finish out at the community college and focus on next steps. In terms of graduate students, our applications are up about 25%. We have 1,626 applications. Our admissions, though, are down 19%. We've admitted 191 students. And these numbers, the increased applications, are coming more from the master's than the doctoral, although both numbers are up compared to same time last year. It's more in the percentage increase is driven more by the master's than the doctoral students. So I know that graduate programs are still making decisions and making offers to students. That's why we don't see that admitted number going up yet. I think some activity in the middle of March to April. So with that, I'll pause and answer any questions that might be there.
And do we have just 1 or 2 more minutes, Dr. Lee?
Yes, we have.
We have 2 questions.
Minutes. Yeah.
Let's get the question.
For 2 questions. Yes. Okay, Senator Mike Echols.
Hi, I just wanted to mention in regards to masking policies. I'm not suggesting at all that we have made any inappropriate decisions at this point, but just in the future, I hope that you will consider that there are some real costs to having students masked in the classroom, especially for soft-spoken students that are already shy about taking part in the discussion. When we have to ask them 3 or 4 times to repeat themselves, we can't hear them. It really, I think, has an impact on them. So, just in your future discussions, please make sure you consider that when you make those decisions.
Very point, Mike. That actually I had a student email me that, I guess it was last Thursday. Soft-spoken, being asked to repeat things 5 and 6 times. So we're going to look at everything between now and March 27th and really try and again come back with our hopefully final decision on masks.
Okay.
Yeah. I think masking.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that our grad applications are up, but the admissions are way down. And I was wondering if there's any insight into why that might be. I mean, I wonder, is it the quality of applications is not what we'd like it to be, or we have a shortage of faculty, so there's not enough faculty to kind of nurture and shepherd a graduate student throughout that journey? We have to turn people away who we might otherwise want to bring in, or what's all going on there?
Matt, I would say probably like multiple factors. One could be the quality of the students. One is capacity. We may not have enough faculty to supervise a master's and a doctoral student, so you may not take as many. It could be some students who have not yet graduated. So I already have a lot of students. I'm not going to take anyone new. So it just could be a combination of various things. And some programs are still making some decisions. Some are having open houses. So they're just still maybe in that process.
And some of it, Matt, it's competition. They got other options. And that's why we've been pushing so hard to have this ground game, this high touch ground game that we all are going to have to get behind to recruit. We've got to show them the advantages of why they should be here. And that's a part of it. We're going to have to really get after it to get those numbers where we want them to be.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor Nam, Provost Kumaracho. I know unless you guys have an urgent question, otherwise I would like to close this session, this discussion and move on. Thank you, Chancellor Nam and Provost Kumaracho. And we would like to move to the next item on the agenda. So we last time we had unfinished business. We have two items here, and I would like to invite Senator Jenny Bropist. You're here. Would you like to present Logan and Douglas Street?
Yes, thank you very much. So I'm not presenting this proposal as a member of a committee, but it was something initiated by myself as a member of faculty and was presented to the Executive Council and was approved, not by a majority, but it was approved. And so I present this for your vote today. And I would like to suggest that we create an ad hoc committee. And I'm going to speak slowly so we get this in the minutes because it's not in writing, but an ad hoc committee for the review of campus street names at SIU. I see this as a one-year project, and we are an advisory committee. So the end result would be a recommendation from our body, but we could take a leadership role in this. So the purpose of the review is in light of our Faculty Senate's resolution several years ago in terms of promoting our understanding of diversity and fairness and equity on campus. And it was also brought to my attention by members on my law school faculty concern. It wasn't something I initially noticed, but I said I'd be happy to present this to the Faculty Senate, and I feel pretty strongly myself. So the purpose of the review, again, speaking slowly, would specifically be, it's quite simple, to review the history and reasoning behind the selection of street names on SIU's campus. So to review the history and reasoning of the selection. The actual action items for the committee would be twofold. One, to create a process of identifying the need for honoring other people on our street names with better choices that reflect our values and diversity today. And as I said, the recommendation would be take place at the end, but of course the process would involve as many voices as possible across campus. I envision, and our Executive Council suggested, that we have an ad hoc committee comprised of members of the Faculty Senate, those who are not on the Faculty Senate, staff, students, student organizations, and that we have some public forums to discuss and put forward names of people that we are truly inspired by. And it would result in a recommendation. It could even be a vote if there's a sort of an array of names that people truly respected, and that we have a recommendation for a process at the end. Now, I would mention to you that this is not the forum to discuss who or whether it's what we would do at the very end. I'm just asking for a committee, but I'm sure you're wondering, like, why? And I'm going to explain to you why I'm in particular proposing this. So my family on my mother's side is from Granite City, Edwardsville, back to pretty much 1800. So I have a personal concern about this. I'm also a professor at the School of Law, which is located on Douglas Drive. And I never thought much about it until somebody said to me at the law school, you do realize which Douglas this is. And this is a family with slave ownership. And then as I began to scratch the surface, I saw that actually in September 2020, Springfield unanimously renamed Douglas Park and chose a better option, just for these very reasons. And I, with the assistance of our archivist here on our Faculty Senate, found out the origin of the street names on our campus on April 21st, 1968. A news article in the Southern Illinoisan stated that the Outer Campus Lake Loop was named after Stephen A. Douglas, distinguished Illinois senator who opposed Lincoln in the 1860 presidential election, and that Logan Drive after Civil War General John Logan, of Southern Illinois. And I noticed that these changes took place 2 weeks after the assassination of Martin Luther King. Logan, in his first term in the Illinois Assembly, sponsored the 1853 anti-Black laws, the Logan Laws, which opposed migration of freed Black slaves into the state of Illinois and ensured that they would be incarcerated if they entered the state as a criminal offense. And so I have to express that as a law professor, and we teach, constitutional law, we try to create a wonderful democratic society, that slavery and genocide are truly our most abhorrent issues that we have dealt with in this country. And that I would imagine that I think having a committee that considers this question is less a focus on that than a focus on who is better, a focus on, in an educational environment, that this is a place of learning, a place to really consider what values that we have, what we convey to our students, because at the end of the day, it's just a street name, but a street name is truly just a moment of honor for somebody. So with that, I imagine there'll be some discussion, but I would be seeking a motion and approval to form the ad hoc committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to have a motion to, could you, anyone, rephrase the motion? So anyone to?
If I may so move, if that's sufficient.
Okay, anyone want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jay second. So we're going to, I know time is limited. We just have a brief discussion before we vote. Any comments, discussion? Okay, we would like to have a vote to support the motion to change the name.
To add an ad hoc committee.
Ad hoc, oh yes, ad hoc committee to examine the names on campus.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now, Matt, would you like to have a senator vote on this motion?
Yep, okay. Michael Eichholz,
Yay.
Bethany Rader,
Yay.
Matt Rendelman, Lee Chang Long.
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert, Phil Anton, Yu-Ting Lee,
Yeah.
Stacy McKinney,
Yay.
Jane Nichols,
Yay.
Grant Miller,
Yay.
Ying Chen,
Yes.
Farhan Chowdhury,
Yay.
Arash Komai, okay, Sung Hee Lee,
Yay.
Dong Han,
Yay.
Walter Metz,
Yay.
Jay Needham,
Yay.
Joseph Brown,
Yay.
Patrick McGrath,
Yes.
Joseph Shapiro, Joseph Shramick,
Yay.
Matt Grozalski, yay. Jennifer Brobst,
Yay.
Eric Black, Keith Sudheimer,
Yay.
Christopher McDowell, okay, Amy Bro,
Yay.
Robert Broomfield,
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio,
Yay.
Mike Phillips,
Yay.
and Julie Tate.
Yay.
Okay. No abstentions and no nays.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. The next item is academic freedom. I would like to invite Senator Jay Needham and Senator Joseph Brown to present this. And we only have 4 and 5 minutes. We're kind of behind the schedule.
Great. Thanks so much, Dr. Lee. Dr. Brown and I are here speaking to you today because we want to formally address, and this is coming from both of us outside of committee, but as concerned members of the faculty and here as senators as well, of an issue that's central really to our roles as academicians. And it's really that of academic freedom. We're seeing challenges to those freedoms across the country, and they're chilling to consider. These are coming to us as legislation. And just a few facts here as we go. Since January 2021, 156 educational gag orders have been introduced or pre-filed in 39 different states. 12 have become law in 10 states. 113 currently live in 35 different states. And the central core of this is really addressing these bills that target race, racism, gender, and American history, banning a series of prohibited or divisive concepts for teachers and their trainings in K-12, public universities, and workplace settings. Some 48 bills explicitly apply to teaching in some form of public schools, while 21 explicitly apply to public universities and colleges. Of the latter, 19 include restrictions on college-level teaching, as well as 105 target K-12 schools, with 49 of them targeting higher education, 62 of which include mandatory punishment for those found in violation. We're seeing bills that prohibit schools and teachers or instructors from compelling a student to affirm a belief in divisive concepts, quote unquote. And these formulations function as a viewpoint-based form of prohibition while concealing themselves as a defense of intellectual freedom. I believe that we should have an open discussion about these challenges. While many of them are beyond our state borders, they collectively represent a threat to how we pursue the important work of educating, researching, living and working here in our communities. I also wanted to ask Dr. Brown to share some comments, and I also have a document to share with you in the chat window shortly.
Unlike most people's expectations, I will be very brief. The Black Studies program at this school started in 1969, and I think it's a perfect example of the challenges to academic freedom and academic responsibility. Black Studies has always been considered a threat to this campus because of the way students might be treated if they were not African American or African in origin. And yet, the argument is so dangerous because education has to be therapeutic. And I think that from the earliest days of this republic, we've had great scholars, Black and white, male and female, free and enslaved, who have said, if you study this well, you can free yourself from the addictions to racism and sexism. Mm-hmm. If you free yourselves from the addiction to this, we will all be better. If you cannot free yourself, then we may all perish. And the world is proving this so gruesomely today. As I said in class today, and I will probably say it again before the week is out, we have to teach footnotes, research, and not just opinions. We have to be able to say what affirmative action really is and challenge the people who want to say, well, it's just a cover to let unqualified people into the circle. We have to understand that the genocide that we are seeing now because of the media abilities in Ukraine have been taking place now since the 1960s in Nigeria, in Sudan, Somalia, Central America. And we do not understand all of the implications. But once we are free of the addiction of superiority and privilege, we might be able to actually live up to all the mission statements that we have made and have people flocking to us because we will teach them in a responsible way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I know Senator Jay Needham, could you share the document with all the senators?
Yes, hold on just one second. Thank you.
Any comments, question for this item, academic freedom? Okay,
Thanks very much.
sure. Thank you. I think, okay, Jenny?
Just want to make one related point with regard to the discussions around critical race theory. You may not all realize, but I got my undergraduate degree at the University of Cape Town in South Africa during the last days of apartheid. I was there when Mandela was released. I was there during violent student protests, and I got a degree in anthropology and archaeology. And in both fields during apartheid in South Africa, I was freely taught and studied and was examined on critical race theory. If South Africa could have the freedom, academic freedom to do this, and we're even debating this in the United States, I just am appalled. So I just want to put that out there, that American exceptionalism, assuming that everything that we do is okay, without really examining our place in the world, our values clearly, I just fully embrace anything that would support academic freedom.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much, Jenny.
Thank you, Senator Jennifer Probst, and also thank you, Senator Jay Needham and Senator Joseph Brown. And I would like to, unless you have more questions or comments, I would like to move to the report, because of a non-list agenda here, which may take more than, may take an hour or so. Okay. I would like to invite Vice Chancellor of Research, Dr. Gary Kinzer, to report. I know last time he didn't get enough time. This time I move it up front. Gary, are you there?
I certainly am. Thanks, Yuting. Time is fleeting, isn't it? So I'll try to go as quick as I can. Just a couple of things I want to pass along. Some good news, actually. We've got our Q2 grant reports that I'd like to, grant and funding report that I'd like to put forward. In Q2, we had 91 proposals submitted. That can be compared with 86 in the previous year's Q2. Overall, in the first half of the year, we had 182 proposals submitted compared with 159 in the previous year. So that's about a 16% increase. Of course, increase in proposals hopefully leads to increase in funding. More importantly, in Q2 this year, we had $20.6 million of awards. That can be compared with $16.7 million in the previous fiscal year. And then for the first half of the year, we had a total of $52.6 million of awarded grants. That can be compared with the previous year through the first half of the year, which was $38.7 million. So that's a 36% increase in funding received. Just to be 100% clear, that does include the School of Medicine in Springfield. So that's our total number. The trend right now looks very positive. I think I could project conservatively that we should be upwards of $80 million by the end of this fiscal year of awards. It might even be a little bit better. And that could be compared with 62 million in the previous fiscal year. So that all looks very positive. Couple of other things to mention that might be of interest. The Illinois Innovation Network has announced I think at this point it's a 4th or 5th round of seed funding. It does require that you have a partner at another institution that's considered one of the hubs within the Illinois Innovation Network. But quite honestly, that's most of the universities in the state of Illinois. So you find a partner at one of the other universities on a research project that involves a whole broad spectrum of sustainability in Illinois. And this seed funding is something you could consider applying for. It's $30,000, so it's certainly worth the effort. And relatively competitive, but we've had a number of faculty on our campus be successful in getting that kind of money. So something to keep in mind. Let's see, here's a request. I need judges for the REU proposal or the REACH proposals, and I need judges for the Student Creative Activity and Research Forum on April the 14th. So if you would like to be a judge for one or the other or both, please let us know over here in the VCR. Jackie Lindenberg would love to add your name to the list. and we'd love to have you participate. No requirement of area. We get posters and proposals across campus. And so anyone from any different discipline would be more than welcome to participate as a judge if you can spare a little time. Let's see. I think the other things I wanted to mention were, oh, here's a good one. I just want to let everybody know that the 47th annual Great Cardboard Boat Regatta will be held on April the 23rd at Campus Lake. So we are very pleased to get back to having this in a person face-to-face mode. If you've never been to one, you really need to go because it's a lot of fun to watch students out there trying to make their cardboard boats go. It's great entertainment, and we love it when a crowd shows up. We get folks from all over the region, frankly. We get high schools participate. We get alumni participate. It would be fantastic to have you participate yourself. So maybe you want to talk to your fellow colleagues in your department and think about putting together a cardboard boat. We'd love to have you out there. So that is again on April the 23rd. So I hope to see you there. That's really all I wanted to say today, Yuting. I'll try to keep it brief.
Well, Gary, I do have a question to ask you, if I may, just as a senator, now that the faculty senate president. May I ask you?
Sure.
Okay. You mentioned about, we almost got a $6 million external grant. Our grant proposal increased.
Yes.
And I looked at the data and the university elsewhere. They become really, in terms of external grant, they're pretty much minimal, less than half of what we have. They became Research One University. I know a few universities in Ohio. They have no medical school, no law school, and we have more research grants. And there are three criteria for Research One, Research Two status. Number one, the research expense. And number two, the number of full-time research staff member. Number three, the number of PhD, not just the STEM area, but the humanities, social science area, which we produce. I think we have met all the criteria. Why cannot we apply to become Research One status?
Well, certainly if that's in our strategic plan to try to achieve that status. This is a periodic review by the Carnegie Foundation. They do that. They don't do this. You don't really apply in a sense. When they do the periodic review, they pull your numbers, if you will, and those are sort of numbers for the previous several years. My understanding is that while we have some strengths, there are some areas that seem to be less, maybe short of what their expectations are. But I feel like we actually, as you say, are quite close. One of the problems that we have, and I'll be very blunt, our system for keeping track of research expenditures is abysmally bad. Okay, there's no other way to put it. As a result, the expenditures that report to the National Science Foundation to their what's called the Higher Education Research Fund, or HERD report, is always substantially less than our actual awards. And really, this is because dollars that are being spent on research are getting lost in the system. At least that's the understanding that I have. And we need to fix this. I believe that we can fix this, but it's going to require a major investment in an upgrade in our grant accounting system. And so that is on the slate for something to do. Actually, we've had a RFP out since last fall, asking companies to provide us with information on their what are called electronic research management software. And so we're hoping that by the end of the summer, we've identified a company that would provide this type of software. And then we, of course, will take a little time to get it implemented. But there are some challenges, but I do agree with you, Dr. Lee, that we're actually very close. And I think we're closer than a lot of folks would really imagine. So.
Thank you. Thank you. The reason why I ask this, because it does really help us to increase our faculty, attract best faculty, and also increase our enrollment and retention and reputation. So that's why I raise this issue. Thank you very much, Gary. I know that Li Chong, you have a hand there.
I just follow up on that. I think I just want to add to, in order to make the transition, the infrastructure or the policy we set up also will have to match up. For instance, a lot of like R1 schools, they have like infrastructure to support this. And then in terms of not only support the research and also help educating our undergraduate students and graduate students, so to level them up. I think they all couple together. This is one of the things I think Faculty Advisor Council to IDHE is trying to push through. Somehow we can add a little bit of research component into this funding formula. Right now, it's basically only on the undergraduate enrollment. And then in terms of improving their education quality and the research component can be this ingredient there. So that's why if we like align us together into this direction, then maybe put us in advantages when we're looking for future fundings. That's something I want to add.
Thank you.
Agree.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Gary, for your report and also your responses to the question. And I know that the next one on the agenda is Executive Council's report, which I mentioned in my report. In fact, I'll skip that. And the election committee, I would like to invite Chair Bethany Reda to give us an update. Bethany?
Hi. Yeah, thank you. So I don't have much to report at the moment. Excuse me. We did, Josh and I, however, did finally get what seems to be decent lists of voting faculty for institutes. So this fall is going to get rolling this week. So I'm going to be contacting my committee this week to finally fill the seats that need to be filled and do proper apportionment of seats to pre-prep for the general election that's going to happen in the end of the semester. So that's my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you. Now, the next one is Undergraduate Education Policy Committee. We have 3 items here. I know the first 2 was endorsed, supported by the Executive Council member. The third one was against. So I'm going to ask co-chairs, Josh Remick and Amy Bro to talk about the first 2 first.
Okay, so I would like to first bring up for consideration the RME to create a minor in cultural competencies. I believe I saw the director of Africana Studies on the call earlier, that he's disappeared from my Hollywood Zoom squares in the interim. So Leo, are you here?
Yes, he is. He's there.
Okay, I'm not, there you are. Okay, because I was frightened that you possibly leave the call. So I will defer to Leo about any questions about this resolution. I should just tell the faculty senate that the resolution that you are now seeing is the product of 2 consecutive meetings of UEPC, some very productive revisions during those 2 meetings. And so we have done our due diligence as a committee to present what I think is a very attractive minor here. And I will defer to any questions about it to the actual expert about it, which is Leo.
There are demographic changes taking place in America and around the world. And that means the workplace, society, and this campus has to deal with that diversity. And we want to give the students the knowledge and tools to function. I mean, one can use examples. The demographic change I'm talking of is even happening right now in Eastern Europe. Are students being prepared for that real world. And even on this campus. Another example is from the news. The most modern factory in the world today will be Tesla. Tesla has been sued because of a claim or allegation of racial discrimination. A host on television program, Whoopi Goldberg, had to be sanctioned for a statement she made, which means we want to prepare students. We have to prepare students to work in this diverse environment, in the workplace, in society, in the communities that they live in. And this program that we are putting forth will give them those tools so that they have the best that they can use in the workplace and in their own lives and for the good of the society, including the campus community. That's what I can put forth.
Thank you, Professor Neil Godspol. Any question?
If not, I'd like to move the question.
Okay. So the motion, okay, moved. Anyone second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to have a voice vote. Mike, are you ready?
Yes. Michael Eichholz,
Yay.
Bethany Rader,
Yay.
Matt Rendelman, Lee Cheng Wong.
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert, Phil Anton, Elaine Jerkowski,
Yay.
Yu-Ting Lee,
Yes.
Stacy McKinney,
Yay.
Jay Nichols,
Yay.
Grant Miller,
Yay.
Ying Chen,
Yes.
Farhan Chowdhury,
Yay.
Arash Komai,
Yes.
Seung-Hee Lee,
Yay.
Dong Han,
Yay.
Walter Metz,
Yay.
Jay Needham,
Yay.
Joseph Brown,
Yay.
Patrick McGrath,
Yes.
Joseph Shapiro, Joseph Sramick,
Yes.
Matt Brzezowski, yes. Jennifer Brobst,
Yay.
Eric Black, Keith Sudheimer,
Yay.
Christopher McDowell,
Yes.
Amy Bro,
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio,
Yay.
Mike Phillips,
Yay.
Julie Tate.
Yay.
That's everybody. No abstentions or no nays.
Thank you. The resolution was passed. Thank you. And the next one is the IME and Amy or Joe.
Okay, so the next one I have for you this month is an RME to grant temporary IBHE status to the Consortium for Embedded Systems. And do I have a representative from the school I'm going to read it here, the School of Electrical Computing and Biomedical Engineering, to possibly give us more expert advice on this resolution. But I think it's pretty straightforward, but just in case there are any faculty senators who might have questions. If not, did I see the associate provost on the call earlier? I think she was still.
Yes, Yeah, I'm here. I thought
Okay.
Spiros Tragudis was
Yeah.
here.
I thought he
Yeah,
was
so there
too.
it is.
Thank you. I just
I'm
didn't
good.
remember your name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll be glad to brief you on that. So for 13 years, SAU had an NSF center by the National Science Foundation in the area of embedded systems. It's a consortium, so the National Science Foundation was supporting it in part, but the center was primarily operating from money received from the member companies. And there are several of them. After 13 years in operation, the center phases out, so the NSF does not support any further. But according to the NSF principles, it should remain self-sustained. So what we are asking here is to generate a center for embedded systems that is recognized within the institution that will operate from the membership fees received by the member companies. We're not asking for any university support. As a matter of fact, we're going to apply an overhead to the membership fees received so that OSPA will provide the necessary support to operate. So again, no request for any funding from the university.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? I have a brief one, which is just really for the audience of the chancellor and the provost. Prior to this year, we have not, as typically as custom for the UEPC, vetted centers, particularly centers without degree programs. But this is something that has changed recently. And I think it's a change for the better. It shows a true commitment to shared governance. And I wanted to state on record and for the minutes of the Faculty Senate this month that is what the co-chair of this committee, at least one of the co-chairs, earnestly believes. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Joe, for this clarification and this information. Very important to support shared governance. And any questions for Professor Tragudis? If not, we would like to have a motion to vote.
Yeah, I so move the question.
Okay, you moved. Anyone second?
I second. Oh.
Okay. Amy, did you say anyone else? Okay, Amy second. Okay. So we're going to have a voice vote. Mike, are you ready?
Yes. Michael Eichholz.
Yay.
Bethany Rader.
Yay.
Lee Chang Wong.
Yeah.
Elaine Jerkowski.
Yes.
Yu-Ting Lee.
Yeah.
Stacy McKinney.
Yes.
Jay Nichols. Jay Nichols. I think that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Grant Miller.
Yes.
Ying Chen.
Yes.
Farhan Chowdhury.
Yay.
Arash Komai.
Yes.
Sung-Hee Lee.
Yay.
Dong Han.
Yay.
Walter Metz.
Yay.
Jay Needham.
Yay.
Joseph Brown.
Yay.
Patrick McGrath.
Yes.
Joseph Sramick.
Yes.
Matt Gorzalski. Yes. Jennifer Brobst.
Yes.
Keith Sudheimer.
Yes.
Christopher McDowell. Christopher McDowell. Okay, Amy Bro.
Yay.
Amanda Pangrazio.
Yay.
Mike Phillips.
Yay.
Julie Tate.
Yay.
Okay, that's everybody and no abstentions or nays.
Very good.
Hey,
Thank-
Matt. Hey,
Yes.
Matt, Phil Anton here. I joined the call late. You can put me down as a yay if my vote counts on
Okay. Yes, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Now, the number one on the agenda is IME on discontinued minor in global study. Faculty Senate Executive Council voted against grant to the faculty, full faculty senate for its consideration. And now, unless any senator want to reintroduce this, and we will move on. We want to be transparent, make sure you have all the information. And if you have any question as a senator, you can raise up your hands. Okay, so no one raised their hands, so we're going to move to number E on the agenda. Budget Committee. We have, Chair Jenny Brovis, I know you had a meeting, Budget Committee meeting on campus, right? Jenny, are you there?
I believe she had to leave early.
Oh, okay. Committee on committee, we have co-chairs. I know Elaine is back. Co-chairs Elaine Jogovsky and Sung-Hee Lee. Any reports?
Yes. So the committee and committees requests approval of the JRB chair and vice chair. Dr. Jose Ruiz was elected by the JRB committee to serve as the JRB chair. And Dr. Sandra Collins was elected by the JRB to serve as vice chair for the calendar year 2022. So we are seeking approval from the Faculty Senate for these two candidates to serve in these roles. And we have a second request. The committee and committee requests that Dr. Phil Anton serve as proxy for Dr. Cindy Buys for the remainder of the spring semester on the Intercollegiate Athletics Committee. Dr. Buys will be out of the country on sabbatical and unable to serve for the remainder of the spring semester. So our request is that the Faculty Senate approve of Dr. Anton serving as proxy.
Thank you, Elaine. Anything to add, Sung-Hee?
Yeah, I was second for moving.
Yeah, do you have anything to add to the report, committee on committee?
Okay. I can add one thing. Committee was requested 10 Faculty Senate volunteers for attending grade associate workshop. But so far, we have only 5 volunteers, which is Dr. Walter Matt, Dr. Matthew Bodeski, and Dr. Ethan Lee, and Dr. Elaine Dresky, and Dr. Joe Schramek. That's it.
Thank you. I know they scheduled the workshops on April 6th and April 7th, and they need 10 numbers. I do not know how the 10 magic number came from and how they decided. Don't ask me. Okay, Joe, you have questions?
I do have a question, which is something that I know the dates were originally something else and then they've been rescheduled. But
Yeah.
one of the concerns that I had even back then, and I communicated this already, I think on email to you, was I could attend one day, but then obviously because, and this is true of faculty across the board, I think, when I'm on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday teaching schedule, some other faculties generally are on a Tuesday, Thursday teaching schedule. So how is it realistic to expect us as faculty with the, I understand the goal here is of shared governance and for us to be participate in this, but we cannot attend both days. It's just not realistic. So so have you found out any further information about whether we could attend on the one day that we're able to during the week and then have somebody substitute us or proxy, or perhaps we can share so that 20 faculty members can go to it, that we're only going half the time? I don't know what the solution would be, but I want to raise the oversight. I think it was an oversight in this case. I didn't quite think through that most faculty on this university are on staggered teaching schedules and therefore realistically can't attend a workshop for most of the morning or whatever it is.
Joe, thank you very much for asking the question. Faculty Senate was not involved. And this morning I raised my concern.
Yeah.
I think Patrick was there and also Jennifer Sherry there and Ward Wentz there and Joe Kogowski there. So it was pretty much the Dr. or Professor Marcus Oden's driven agenda, and without any consultation with me. I attempted to contact him a few times, and he does not want to contact me, to talk with me. He said, does not accomplish anything. I just want this to be part of the record. Yes, we support shared governance. We are willing to working together. That's what I want to say. Thank you. Well, any question for committee on committee? I know Senator Jenny Brobis just came back. She just stepped out for a second. I would like to invite the Budget Committee Chair, Jenny, to present briefly. Jenny?
Super brief, and thank you, Dr. Lee. I'm sorry I had to step out for a sec. And also thank you, Dr. Lee, for pursuing more on getting information from Dr. Odom. I really appreciate that. Our committee hasn't met, and it was very active in the previous session in producing some questions, which we were grateful the Chancellor and the Provost were willing to answer. So where we're at right now is everything's still in flux. And I think that we've been waiting on Gray Associates. We've been waiting on different budget matters, debt repayment. And I attended my first Chancellor's budget meeting. And I thought there were a few key points I just thought I wanted to share with the Faculty Senate as a whole, because they address issues you have all raised over and over again. One is that the magic number really is 2025. So in 2025, when we can finally put the debt repayment behind us after the budget freeze, right at that point, it was stated that then there can be considerations about reallocation of funding where things have tipped out of balance. For example, I brought up that we have really lost a number of graduate assistants. When you start to look at the statistics, we've had lots of conversations about salary compression, which could be a reallocation argument. It was, so I think, to be honest, the Budget Committee is probably not going to have a lot to do until there's money to do something with. And there are no tuition increases coming up. That was of importance. And then finally, the Chancellor stated that next year, there will be a salary study done starting with civil staff in terms of equity, that AP faculty in progress, probably through April. And then the internal equity study will follow. We've heard this before, which would address the, compression issue and new faculty being hired at a higher salary than people who have been teaching for years, which is demoralizing. But he said that the internal equity correction plan will, they will begin to look at it. I think this is going to take years. And I'm just being frank with you. I think it's going to take years. And I think for some of you who have spoken up, you're going to be thinking I might retire before this happens. I'm just to be honest about it. But I do think the Faculty Senate needs to keep bringing it up and say that it's important, but we do have it stated publicly that this is going to happen. So that's it for me.
Thank you for your update, Jenny. So any question for her? Well, now, if not, we're going to move to the Faculty Status and Welfare Committee. I know both of them teach at the same time, and unless any proxy or any, I do not see any update. I know there is one person for the proxy for Professor Jennifer Sherry, and we're going to skip this item if there's no. Oh, okay, Matt, you have a question?
Just that we never voted on the committee on committee names that they put forth. We normally do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
so I just want to move that we approve of these committee names. I want to move that we approve of the committee names, and think, Sung-hee, did you want to second
I'm
that?
second. Yeah, I'm second.
Now, clarification, please. What name for the GRB or for the Korea Association, because Korea Association is incomplete. We need 10 names. We're still in the middle of discussion. We should not include that as part of voting process.
So I'm requesting that we vote on the JRB chair and vice chair, as well as the proxy for the Intercollegiate Athletics Committee of Dr. Anton.
Okay. Anyone second? Sung-hee, you want a second?
Yeah, I'm second.
Okay, so we're going to have an oral vote. So that be okay with you, Matt?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Michael Eichholz,
Yay.
Bethany Rader,
Yay.
Lee Ching Wong,
Yeah.
Scott Gilbert. Okay. Phil Anton. Phil Anton.
I don't often get the chance to vote for myself, so yay!
Thank you.
Elaine Jerkowski,
Yes.
Yu Ting Lee,
Yes.
Stacy McKinney,
Yes.
Jane Nichols,
Yes.
Grant Miller,
Yes.
Ying Chen,
Yes.
Farhan Chowdhury,
Yay.
Arash Komai,
Yes.
Sung-hee Lee,
Yes.
Dong Han,
Yay.
Walter Metz,
Yay.
Jay Needham,
Yay.
Joseph Brown,
Even though Dr. Anton didn't pay me what he promised, I'll vote for him anyway. So yay.
Patrick McGrath,
Yes.
Joseph Ceramic,
Yes.
Matt Grozalski, yes. Jennifer Brobst,
Yes.
Keith Sudheimer,
Yes.
Christopher McDowell, Amy Bro,
Yay.
Robert Broomfield, Amanda Pangrazio, Mike Phillips,
Yay.
Julie Tate, Julie Tate. Okay.
Yay.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's everybody, no nays and no abstentions.
Okay, good. Thank you, Matt. Governance Committee, we have Pite, Senator Pite, Mike Rath, and Jay Needham, and also Patrick.
Yes, so we don't have anything to report except that the job ad for the parliamentarian was approved by the Faculty Senate Executive Committee with what I'm just going to call two friendly amendments. One was to add the language that the parliamentarian will serve in an advisory role to the president. And then the other was to take out any language about it being a paid position. So with those two corrections, I'm going to send the job ad to Dr. Lee and Josh Frick, and I'm not certain where to advertise it, but hopefully the two of you will have some sense of that. So
Thank
that-
you. Thank you, Patrick. We will send out to all the faculty members. Thank you. Joe, you have questions?
The real question, or maybe a comment, really, suggestion. Didn't we, I have the vague memory that we agreed that this would be appointed through the Committee on Committees. Was that correct? Because that would be the normal.
I don't recall that, and
Okay.
I'm not certain because, well, in the job ad itself, it says that the governance committee will review applications. Then the governance committee will make a recommendation to that will go through the faculty senate executive committee. And the entire faculty senate will vote on that. Me? The entire faculty senate will vote on that recommendation.
Okay, I would just friendly suggest that we have a procedure usually in place for appointments of this, of faculty to various ad hoc positions, and I'm not saying we perhaps we should in this instance have the governance committee do it instead, but we have a procedure already in place. So just thinking, maybe being mindful of that and allowing our committee on committees to do their job would be helpful, I think.
Good point. Perhaps both governance committee and committee on committee will work on this. And then we will, obviously, I think you have a good point. We do not want to go around committee on committee either. Good point. I think we will, I think, work together with these two committees. Would that be okay?
Fine. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any question for governance committee before we move on? Okay, we have IBHE, Senator Lee Chang-Wang, Professor Wang.
Thank you. Yeah, Faculty Advisory Council to IBHE had a meeting on February 18th. Mostly, the one interesting item I would like to say is about the budget. This is 2 or 3 interesting facts. The first one is like the request, the budget dollar number is not reduced but increased by the governor. In addition to the MAP funds and some others will be was added, including the mental health funding bills. In particularly, I will send you update for Matt for this. So they added $122 million of MAP fund to the General Assembly. Another $230 million was added to the prepaid tuition plans that are currently underwater. So with this addition, the state will be basically honor all the contracts they were being issued previously. That's very important, kind of interesting fact. The second one they were talking about is like about this funding formulas. They were talking about the undergraduate enrollment as the only criteria to distribute the funding. They were talking about research enterprise. That component of the ingredient is missing. It looks like people are pushing, especially from the faculty advisory council to IBHE. We were talking about this when the IBHE representatives and the director come to our meeting. We were trying to raising the issue and connect the research funding with education, like quality and those type of things. Lastly, is the Governor State University president and the director of GSU dual credit degree program. They gave a presentation during the last meeting on the progress they made to develop their dual credit degree program at the GSU. Next meeting was supposed to be on campus in Carbondale. However, due to the pandemic, they remain on Zoom meeting. Next, this Friday, Chancellor Lane and also faculty Senate President Yu-Ting Lee and the community chairs Elaine, Jay, and Jennifer, they were talking about, I'll give a presentation about the shared governance, shared responsibility, and the shared future vision at SIU next Friday. Hopefully, I will be able to report you the feedback from the other institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wang. Any question for her? Okay. No questions? Okay, we have a graduate council. If no question, we're going to move the next item on the agenda. Graduate council, Professor Jinghua Li, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. So Graduate Council met on March 3rd, and a resolution to eliminate the MS in mathematics and science education in the School of Education was approved. And for the research spotlight, a faculty member at the School of Biological Science shared their research. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jinghua Li. Any question for her? Okay, if no more question, we're going to move to the older business. Oh, okay.
No, it's not a question for her. It's more that I have a report for the ad hoc committee on U.S. News and World Report ranking. I don't know when you want to put that on the agenda here. Do you want me to do it on business or here?
Okay, could you, you can report now if you're ready.
Okay, yeah, it's a very brief report. We have met 2 times since this committee was formed by the Faculty Senate last fall. We met 2 times this semester. One of our meetings, we heard a in-depth report from Wendell Williams, the Associate Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management, on issues relating to our 6-year graduation rates on this campus, as well as our retention rate from junior to sophomore year, and how those affect the ranking by U.S. News and World Report. It makes up fully 22% of the overall score that every individual campus receives is comprised of these 2 data points alone, is simply the data. And he was walking through the longitudinal data over the last 10 or so years on this campus and what our track record has been with those 2 items. Since that meeting, we then resolved as a committee to keep probing this first piece of it and to ask for more pieces of information to kind of to allow us to fact find a bit more and to perhaps even ultimately provide some questions or some recommendations ultimately to the Chancellor and to the Faculty Senate, to everybody else that's going to get this eventual report we commission. We are hearing on Thursday from the Director of Institutional Research, who is going to tell us more about the data that we provide to various clearinghouses. We are then holding 2 further meetings coming up later in the month into early April. One is with the Center for International Education to talk about particularly how we recruit and retain international students and how we do in terms of their graduation averages with that constituency. And then we will be hearing from a member of the committee who has gotten access to Compass, which is the software that U.S. News and Report allows you to dig into. If you pay extra money, you can actually go into the innards of U.S. News and Report's ranking data and find and tailor their search. If you're a college student or a prospective college student, you can, if you pay extra money, you can actually tailor and sort and sift and do all kinds of weird things to figure out which college is correct for you. So we're going to be hearing from Dr. Presar in the School of Music, who's a member of the committee, who has gotten access to this and is actually digging right now, I think it's fair to say, into the weeds a bit and how we are presenting ourselves as a university and the various issues that may pose to our recruiting and retention strategy. So to be continued, but I think we are hard at work as a committee with investigating these various issues. We've taken this charge, it seems rather limited, of looking simply to improve our ranking. And we have turned it more into a fact-finding committee, ad hoc committee, to really investigate everything that's going on in this campus and to bring the experts on the various facets of it to talk to faculty and to answer questions, which I think is a very admirable thing to do on this campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joshua Amick. Thank you very much for your time and update and leadership in coordinating this. I know in my report that I mentioned this. They met, in fact, they met a few times. Any question for him? Okay, if no question, we're going to move on. All the business. We're going to meet by Zoom or in person for April, continue the same way or in person. Seems to me by Zoom, right? I saw some people. Okay, we will continue by Zoom. Okay, now, any new business items want to? Okay, we have two. Okay, first we have Professor Brown, second, Patrick, Senator Patrick Mycroft. Professor Brown, would you like to go first?
Following up on when we were talking about the enrollment and acceptance rates and all, I just want to say to this group that it has been since 2011 that we have not had anyone in the graduate school focused on underrepresented minority students. And that is going to have a major impact on recruitment and retention. And for us to be an entire decade without anyone in that office since Miss Pat McNeil retired, that's got to be something that we have to look at. If we're going to be told about these kinds of numbers, I just really think that at some point down the road, we have to talk about the fact that one of the most important issues of diversity in the graduate school has not been addressed for 10 years.
Thank you so much, Professor Brown, for this important comments. Professor Patrick Mycroft.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lee. I wanted to raise a few concerns about Gray and Associates. We met this morning. Dr. Lee was there, a few other faculty senators. And I don't know, perhaps some others could share their reactions, but I'm a little concerned about the Gray and Associates workshop that's going to be held on April 6th and 7th. And I wonder if it might be a prudent idea to postpone that workshop until such time as the Faculty Senate could review Gray and Associates, their proposal, or perhaps the Faculty Senate could meet with Mr. Steve Bropes, who was very informative today. I think there are some lingering questions about the sort of metrics that they're going to be using to evaluate programs. There are some potentially alarming mentions of sunsetting programs, which was just being mentioned in passing, but anytime you mention that, I think faculty, probably rightly so, are a little worried. So I would just like to raise the issue that perhaps the Faculty Senate could review this and postpone the workshop. The workshop could be postponed until such time as the Faculty Senate has an opportunity, not just the Executive Committee, but the Senate more generally, to review the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments, responses?
So this is Walter.
Yes.
I was there at the meeting. The data tool they have is very powerful. I think it's really important that we have the meeting as soon as we can. The function of the workshops are to show the folks that attend the workshops, how the data tool works. I think the really important thing will be, once the data is in front of us, how we get that information to individual units, faculty meetings, so they can see the data as it exists in the system, to make sure it's accurate. So for example, one of the things it does is it talks about the number of students graduated in any given year in a unit. I think it's very important that we have the correct data to make sure those numbers are right. And then, since the provost is sitting here, I would say that the sticky part of this will be to figure out how to lead the campus through a very tough self-evaluation about our dire fiscal situation. And then I think what one would do with this data is triage it into programs that come out of the metrics having their strength reinforced, and then programs whose data seems to be of great concern. And that, of course, will be a difficult conversation. But I think our university is in a severe enough financial situation that we better do this sooner rather than later. So I would advocate not postponing the meeting, and that I would also advocate, once the workshop attendees are trained with the data tool, that the provost's office and the deans would coordinate very quick getting that information down to the units so that they can talk about what it means, what the possibilities are, what to do with the data. But I think delaying is a very bad idea.
Okay, thank you. We have only 3 minutes left. Mike, unless you have a quick comment, so we need to wrap up.
Yes, quickly, I would just support what Walter Metz said. I was at the meeting. I learned quite a bit about their dashboard and how it takes our data that we've reported, it's the data that we report to the government authorities that track this, and how we compare to other institutions. Or it's such a powerful tool. I think that the concern about sunsetting programs, that discussion is, or not just sunsetting, but looking at the programs, that discussion is way down the line. And that's the takeaway I got from today. There's not an imminent threat of sunsetting programs. Right now, it's still very much they're showing us how their tool works and how it will benefit us. We're not at the point where we're talking about what to do with the data yet.
Just footnotes, iPad data is open to public. In any institutional research office, usually they can get the data very easily. So this is public information, just FYI. I know we have 2 minutes left. I'm sure, more discussion may be needed before we're going to make decision on this. Here too, obviously we have, I know Jennifer Sherry is not here, she was there. And we have faculty senator who would like to move forward. Others would like to have it postponed. Whatever it is, we need to have more discussion. So now it's all 1 minute left. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anyone move it?
Well, is it possible to make a motion to extend the meeting for 5 minutes to discuss this further?
Okay.
Would anyone wish to second that? No?
Okay, so we do not want to extend the meeting for 5 more minutes. Obviously, we cannot make conclusion, but we do need to wrap up the meeting. We need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn because I think that will be okay. Accepted.
Okay, thank you.
I second.
Okay, all in favor. Thank you very much.